a little older, but anyways. And so anyways, collusion. So does anybody know do y'all know what collusion is? Have you ever heard the word collusion? Okay. Give you a real good example of it is we come in the room and property number one, I want to buy. But I know Ben buys the same type of properties. So I slide over to Ben and say, hey Ben, I'd really like to have this property. Don't bet against me. That's collusion. The fine is $100,000 and 3 years in jail.
It's a federal offense.
It's a federal offense. So today you're being videotaped, just like we're videotaping this speaking engagement. If you're caught talking to him and that microphone picks that up, you have a whole lot bigger problem with collusion at that time. Because we fight that every day in our business. And it used to be, I was back in the 80s when we sold a lot of farms, and all the farmers knew each other. Well, they were the world's worst. You were always having to keep Tom away from Jane and everybody, hey, don't be talking to each other. Let's come over here, they'd been down the road already talking to each other. But anyways, so collusion is a big thing in our business. So don't do it. We know people that have been prosecuted for it. There was a big case in Pennsylvania, I forgot how many years ago it was, that the two buyers were colluding. They were not bidding against each other. They would go down the street and say, okay, I want this piece, and you take that piece, and I'll take this piece. Well, they got caught. So they ended up going to prison. And they don't play. Couple of things I think that both of them brought up is very good. Before I go any further, how many people have been to an auction site? Raise your hand. Okay, good deal. And I think that what Ernie said, and also Linda as well, it's very important that you are informed as a buyer. And don't forget your number one asset about being informed is the auction companies. We don't get paid unless we sell you the property. We want to try to make you as comfortable as possible. So you'll come to our auction sale and you'll understand what you're buying and you'll feel comfortable with us and you'll bid on the property. All three of us, you pretty much take it to the bank. Whatever we tell you, that's the way it's going to be. Now, not all are that way. There are some companies out there that will kind of have that little gray area to them. That, is there anything wrong with the property that you know of? Well, if we know something, we have to tell you that. We're not going to keep any secrets from you. And when Ernie talked about an information package, we've actually gone out and done some of the home inspections before we start selling real estate on the nicer houses. Or we already have an appraisal on a nicer house. Now, the little small houses, no. The 5, 10, 15, 20, $50,000 houses, we just kind of sell those, as is, where is. There's a lot of investors buying those houses. So, another thing that we haven't really talked much about is when do you guys and ladies use an auctioneer to sell your assets? This market is red hot. Everybody's like, I was talking to Ben the other day. I was talking to Ben a few minutes ago. He goes, man, we sold that thing in 2 days. You sold that house in 2 days and made whatever, $100,000. Well, that's great. Well, do you know if maybe you would have taken 4 days or 5 days or 6 days, how much more money you would have made? Because usually what happens is the market is so hot that the investors are taking the very first person who comes to them. Wow, I made $50,000. I'm going to sell it and be done with it. And what we've done with a lot of our investors that we deal with, we've got them kind of on, okay, let's buy this piece and let's look at it for us to auction it. This is the range that we think it will bring. We think it'll bring between $100,000 and $150,000, or $100,000 and $125,000. So it's a great time in the market right now to use auctioneers to sell your investment properties. Just like Linda said, and Ernie can say as well, we have people that come to us every day who buy and flip houses. And we look at their inventory, and tell them whether they should auction it or whether they should list it. Because you're leaving money on the table, although you're making a lot of money. These times are only going to be around for a certain period of time. They just dropped interest rates again, 25 basis points. That's going to help us again. Just like in 2008, I don't know how many people were investing in 2008. Nobody thought it was going to come to an end. Well, when it came to an end, It stopped, it threw everybody in the street, and there was carnage everywhere. This will stop. I don't know when it's going to stop, because we're in a housing shortage in America right now. But I wanted to make the point about using an auctioneer to sell your property and to market. Somebody asked earlier about a marketing campaign and what that is. And let me just kind of elaborate on that a little bit. If you have a $4 million, was it a farm you were selling? The one that you multi-part?
Yes.
It was a farm. So a tract of land, farm, or whatever it is that you were selling. And sometime or someone will go over. If you're selling something on a multi-part, $4 million sale, well, you're going to spend some dollars advertising that. Because you want to get people here from New York, California, Boston, Florida, wherever. You're going to spend some dollars and cents on that. But it's good dollars. It's good dollars to spend. But now, if you're selling a $50,000 house in Richmond, you might not spend that much. You're just going to spend pennies, $400 or $500 to sell that, to advertise that piece of property. Because we have all the buyers. All of us have the buyers. So we need to put your property on the internet, LoopNet, CoStar, which we hate, by the way. Because it's been worse for us. So we pay them a lot of money, and we give them our data. But anyways, that's another story. Don't get me started. So anyways, the advertisement part of it is the better the asset is, the more money you want, the more you want to expose your property to. So that's where the advertising dollars come into place. But to give you an example, Ernie talked about a piece of property that he had. He sold it December 1, had it closed by the 29th. All three of us get those calls all the time. And we had a deal up in Northern Virginia, dentist office. Bank called me on the 10th of December. Once it closed by the end of December. It says, what do we need to do to sell this thing? So, well, you need to spend $5,000, blah, blah. We don't want to spend any money. We just want to sell it. Okay, we'll sell it. But there ain't going to be a lot of people there. So we auctioned it off, brought $800-some thousand. It was probably worth about $1 million. Had 3 people come to the sale, but all 3 of those people were cash buyers, and they closed on it by the end of the year. The one person who bought it. So time is the deal that what we deal with every day is, I always tell people is, I deal with urgency. I like to deal with buyers and sellers that have some urgency in their life. Hey, let's get up in the morning. Like talking to Ben, he's full of energy. I just met him. He wakes up in the morning, I guarantee you, he is just ripping out. He probably leaves without his clothes on this morning. He's like, hey, you need to put your shoes on. That's the kind of people we like to deal with. Somebody who has some urgency. They either need to sell it quick, or they want to buy things quick. And we solve problems where, we get homes that have been sitting around for years on the market. We all have done this. They've been on the market for $500,000. We go and do an auction on it, brings $550,000. And the person says, why didn't I do that 5 years ago? I don't know why you didn't do it 5 years ago. What you do is call us, right? Yeah. So, what was it? Here with the collusion, and what else? Did you have anything else? These guys covered just about everything there. One thing that I had, the PowerPoint that I put together was kind of more about my company, what we do, all that kind of stuff. But once I got the agenda and started reading on it, I realized I went down the wrong path with it. But one thing I want to bring to your attention: how many in here have rental houses? Okay. We have a property management company, manage about 100 properties, single family, which is a very hot market for us. So most people don't know when they become under fair housing. After you own 3 houses, you have to follow all the rules of fair housing. Fair housing means if someone calls you, and whatever your criteria is, income, we have, in ours, it's, of course, it's income and criminal history. So you can't discriminate on, color, creed, etc. You got to be real, real careful, because there are companies out there that are trying to bait you. They just had a big article in the Richmond paper about a company. We got caught up in it. They were calling us, trying to get us to rent them houses, and they didn't fit the criteria financially. So they turned us into fair housing. Well, fair housing, it's automatically $5,000 out of your pocket. We got E&O insurance, turned it over to E&O, but it's a very serious crime as well. It could be up to $50,000 and I think a year or 2 years in jail. So if you own rental properties, especially if you're a real estate agent, if you're a real estate agent and you're managing those properties and you're not properly set up to do that, all you gotta do is make one house. If you're a real estate agent, you're representing them, you can go up in front of fair housing. And it ain't perfect. And they're trying to set you up. So my encouragement to that is make sure you got your ducks in a row, or make sure you hire a good property management company. Maybe a little bit off of the topic of auctions, but I have a little bit of a sore subject about that because there's a lot of craziness kind of going on in that part of it. But and just real quick is our company and their companies as well, we just have three things that we do. Commercial real estate, which we broker that, and we auction that. Residential and high-end homes, we auction those as well, and broker. And then the property management company. Like I said, we got about 100 homes that we manage in the Richmond market and all the way out to Lancaster. So keep those things in mind. If you ever need help with any of that stuff, we'd be more glad to help you. I don't know where to go. You guys answered all the questions.
So open up for questions about that.
Yep. Any questions? Yes, Ben. Yes, sir. Kenny, the basket winner.
That's it.
Thank you very much. My question is with trustee sales, and this has to do with the ones at the courthouse. When you have multiple deeds or is it liens on their house, I don't know how true it is, but one of my buddies says the primary order is the only one you should worry about. How true is that? And how do you know if you have multiple deeds
Sure.
in their house?
No, that's easy. I mean, you do it. When you go to a foreclosure sale, it's very important to understand, are they foreclosing on the first deed of trust or the second deed of trust?
Okay.
Because they will foreclose on the second deed of trust. If they foreclose on the second deed, it means like you have a home equity loan.
Okay.
You took out a mortgage for $100,000 and you took out another home equity loan for $50,000. Well, you might be paying the first, but they're not paying the second. So they go do a foreclosure sale on the second deed of trust. But when the hammer falls, you owe for the first deed of trust. So you got to pay off the second, you got to pay your bid, and you got to pay the payoff on the first. So it's real important to read in there if it's a first or second. And then once again, you got to do a title search. Because that trustee, a lot of trustees are just not going to give you the information. If we have it, if they get us involved, we got copies of it, so we can send it to you. Or we can post it online, or we can talk to you about that. So,
You have to look for tax liens too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And who's paying? Is it like when you're doing a sale at the courthouse, it might be, it's the bid plus the buyer's premium plus the unpaid taxes. And you got to pull the unpaid taxes because they're not going to tell you that either.
Yeah.
So,
Is that the opposite courthouse? You gotta pull those?
yeah. Oh, good.
Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you guys so much, so much.